Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. My name is Brandon, and this is session 1 of a little breaker playtest. Last time we made a character named Luna, who is a 16-year-old farm girl who has realized that she has an ancient power that has long been taken from the planet, which is an innate understanding of magic, thaumaturgy. We know that power in the world still exists because you can learn thaumaturgy, but not power that is innate, where you can just like summon it and use it as will. And that only belonged to the houses of the thaumaturges, which collapsed a long time ago. And in the vacuum that left, a great power has taken over, a darkness. I don't have a name for it yet, but I picture it just like epitome of like typical fantasy, sci-fi, empire, demonic, ruling over people. And I actually got to thinking yesterday that maybe because most people were ancestor worshippers, maybe they actually like want to cut that tie, and they use the houses of the thaumaturges and the depravity that they fell into before they collapsed as a reason to travel through the world and like make people forget their last names and forget their ancestries. It's that type of maliciousness. Then once they are bound by connecting to their ancestors, they can go forward being perfect servants of the empire. I think that works. And when this force came to her town, it awoke in her. And at the same time, this awoken power communicated with this mecha horse, which is a horse except it's done with this like intricate steel work. And it's like a living metal. And for generations, it had been a statue in her family's yard. But when she awoke to her powers. Her powers awoke the horse too, and she fled. Oh, also her ancestors started speaking to her, which hadn't happened in a long time, and they told her where to find her family's energy sword and a map to where she hopes will lead her to where one of the houses of the thaumaturges originally stood, so she could find secrets in the ruins and maybe unlock this power and how it can help her come back to her community and save them from the darkness that's taking it over. Yes. So that's Luna. And so we're going to play the game and see what we can get. So we're going to work on the first goal here, which is find the ancient house of thaumaturgy to find out what I am. I already have a 3 control in it because I want it to be a little easier to get. Everything in this game has to be moved forward with an action because it's solo, and you can write all the narrative if you want, but it doesn't impact how close they get to their goal without actions. And so she is literally using her map to ride across the countryside and just see if she can find the direction to go. So I had to build her confidence with that. And her confidence is built with an emotion, a method, and a boon. She has a map, so that's 2, because all boons give you 2. She's a naturalist. She knows the nature. She knows the lay of the land. She can read it. She knows how to travel through it. I think that gives her confidence of 2 also. And then I choose any emotion I want to start because I'm starting the game, and hope would be the biggest one there, right, for her. And so she has 2 + 2 + 3. She has a 7 confidence, which is great to have to start. Look at that. So I rolled a 5 and a 3. So the 3 is on the white die. So it's the light die low, which means that her light emotions are dominant, which is great. And they both rolled under her confidence, which is what you need to do. So if both roll under the confidence, it's a strong hit. So I can choose a roll for one of the favorable list, and my next action is done with one of my light emotions. So I'm staying hopeful. And this is the favorable list here. I can gain a boon, which means I could replace one of my boons with another boon, something I find along the way. I could gain control points, a control point, which will get me closer to my goal. I can gain clarity, which will give me experience. I understand something about myself, even though I'm not getting closer to my goal. Or I can make one of my goals lose pressure. And I don't have any pressure right now. And I want to get closer to my goal. So I'm just going to up that by 1 to 4. And then I narrate it in my head that she has no trouble reading this map. She has no trouble going through the plains that surround her village and getting to a place where she can rest for the night and then continue her journey in the morning. It's that simple. And I'm just going to roll that again. But I can't. You need to change up your emotion, method, and boon every roll. Or you take a -1 to your confidence. Because, it's that feeling of repetitiveness, right? Like, oh, this is too good to be true, or I'm too secure in myself, that type of movement forward. Like, it's attrition. And so she will take a -1 to her confidence. I think I'm just going to take the -1 because, or I could switch to Anna, her horse, to get her there faster. No, let's switch to Anna. So she knows the way, she feels secure in it, she does a little rest, and then she gets on Anna again and just hightails it. She just wants to get there as fast as she can. So that's a 7 again, because Anna is a boon, which gives me 2. I'm using Naturalist, which is 2. And I'm still hopeful, so I'm using 2. Oh, see, and this is a dark die low. So now her emotions are going to shift to something else, something that makes sense narratively, or something that I find advantage. So she's really quick to be and understands being sad. So chances are something's going to happen that's going to cause her to be sad because of that low die is on the dark die. Also, she is only getting a weak hit because she only beat one of those dice. So she beat the 4 and she didn't beat the 10. So a weak hit means that she suffers 1 from each list. And then the lowest die determines her emotion going forward, which is sorrow going forward. So I can also, if I want to figure out how to describe what's happening, what's going to make her sad, I can look at this quick dice oracle here, or I can go all the way back down to a more detailed one here. So I could be like structure and dissolution or death. Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. So she's riding across this landscape that are all these little farms and little hamlets, and she is such a great mood, but she comes over a hill and sees a village, and for a moment she gets really hopeful. She's going to meet some more people, maybe they can direct her on her way, but as she gets closer she realizes it's a ruin. It's been devastated, it's been burned out. There are skeletons, bodies that have been picked clean by animals. There are even people like hanging from a light post in the middle of town. And that's that structure and that death that I just rolled on the 4 and 10. And that's why she switches over to sorrow. Like it hits her like a ton of bricks. Like, this was such a beautiful day, and I know she was fleeing from something that was devastating, but she had hope in her heart that she was going the right direction. And when she realizes that this destruction of the great dark that is taking over the world has gone to all the area around her, it reminds her of that devastation. I'm gonna go ahead and take control because I really want to get through this. And I don't think she's learned anything, and I don't want her to find anything yet. But I'm gonna go ahead and roll, I think, for what I take here. 10, gaining pressure. All right, I'll gain pressure on that. That's fine by me. Pressure means that the outside world has taken notice of her. Now I can narrate that if I want, or I can just let it be a secret. Like, something in this village has caused the great darkness, or whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it the great darkness. Has caused something to work against her goal. Now, I think she could see something. She's in this village and she's like having her moment and wishing she had time to take care of all these bodies and bury them and give them the rights that they need. And up on a far hill, not the direction she was heading, but far, far away, she thinks she sees glass, sunlight hitting glasses, and maybe somebody looking through a telescope or binoculars at her. But she doesn't know who they are, and so she gets up and rides on again. Now, she's a little bit slower this time. She's not going to just like speed off with her horse. Now I'm just going to use Sorrow, the horse, and her naturalist again to keep riding through the country. It's not the same role because I'm switching to Sorrow. She literally, I think seeing that destruction and reminding her of the path that she has to go on and the weight that she's carrying, like, completely destroys the hope that she had. And she literally is riding and crying at the same time. But we'll see. Now another action. She's exploring forward again. And I roll against a 7. That is another weak hit because this 8 is higher than my 7. But I still get the 4, so I do get 1 success. My low die is white though, so something catches her. It's a weak hit. The light die is low though, so next turn, because it's a weak hit, the lowest die determines the emotion right there. I'll be able to switch back to hope. So something in this scene will probably give her hope. I'm going to take control again. She's still moving forward. We're up to 6 now, which is great, but I'm going to go ahead and roll the 1d10. And it's a 4. 4, lose control. So I guess I'm going to take that control and then I'm going to lose it. But how does it give me hope? Let's go back down to this scale here. Let's scale this chart. 8 is chaos and 4 is structure and stability again. Loss of control. Well, I think she gets lost. That's for sure. That's like she moved forward and then she gets lost. But I think I'm going to, instead of her panicking when she gets lost, I think I'm going to have her use as an excuse to rest. And that rest rejuvenates her. When she wakes up in the morning, she'll be hopeful again. Maybe that's just how she is. Like, she's one of those people that sleeping lets the world go away. So when she takes a long rest, she gains back all her motivations. Any unused background or any used backgrounds come back, which I haven't used. I remove all doubt, and I can find a boon or reduce dissonance. I don't have any of that. So I'm really just resting in order to narratively switch up my hope, back from sorrow to hope, and then to get my motivation back. That's all I'm doing. And it has to make sense of the narrative, right? So I get lost in the woods. I end up backtracking, but instead of getting angry, she just finds a good place to camp. And since she's a naturalist, I'm not going to make this very weird for her. She's camped in the woods her whole life since she was a kid. So yeah, she's just going to do that. Unfortunately, every time you rest, you get more pressure on your goal. So when you reach 10, your goal automatically resolves, and if there's any pressure, it automatically reduces that number. So like right now, if she got to 10 today, she'd have to roll against an 8. So the more pressure I have, the harder it's going to make me resolving the goal once it gets to 10. Now I can choose to bleed off some of that. I can spend the pressure off into a hardship. I can also choose to use my lowest emotion on an action roll to reduce the pressure. Or I can just reduce my confidence level by 2 on any action roll to reduce the pressure, which means that I'm taking action to avoid getting caught or whatever. So we'll have to think about that as we go. It's a give and take on how you deal with that, because pressure isn't a negative to control. It's an automatic negative to the control once you're trying to resolve it. So yeah, it can be very interesting. Anyways, so she camps. She wakes up in the morning super hopeful, super, man, that was... She probably talks to her horse. She's like, Anna, that was... I can't believe that this is so bad. We need to get going. We need to figure out what we are and know the truth. And so they get back and they start going. She's hopeful again, just like yesterday. She's using her map. And again, she's still riding through the woods, so I'm still using naturalist. So I still have a 7. It's not bad. Ooh, and a strong hit. With the light die low. So she's going to stay hopeful today. And on a strong hit, I only have to roll on the favorable. I'm just going to take control. As always, take control. Lose 1 motivation because, that's retired. And just like the day before, when she realizes she found her way again, she's not lost anymore, she's going to switch up the roll and try to go fast until she feels like she needs to check her map again. So she's going to ride all morning going really fast. And that still has a 7. And then I get a really bad roll. Look at that. So ties in this game are failures. So that is a miss completely. A miss. I have this background called Mecha Fanatic, so she's really into her horse. And I probably could use that to reroll one of these dice. I think I will. So I'm making an X next to it, and I'm going to reroll this 10. There's no reroll in this, so I'm just going to roll 1d10. Oh, but it's still a miss. So no matter how much she pleads, she can't get her horse to go faster. And doubt sets in. Okay, I got that. Doubt. It's always with the doubt. The little chart says acceptance. I think the resolution of this action is that she gets no further. Like, halfway through the morning, she just kind of peters out. The excitement kind of wears off, and she starts to suffer from, doubting herself in her quest. Like, she thinks back of that village that she passed, and she thinks back about what they did to her family, and how, like, her family doesn't remember the face of their fathers, the face of their mothers. The ancestral shrine is destroyed. She's the only one that escaped, and she just kind of, like, doubts that she can do it. And that's really, really that action there. It's just her slowly not getting very far because she's having a moment riding her horse, Yeah. She's still traveling. She's still trying to get there, right? And so far, nothing has really come out of the blue. I mean, I could have called that doubt somebody hurting her, something like that. But I think she's on a personal journey right now. This is more the scenes in movies where the heroes wandering by themselves. I think she's in the desert. Even though this is not a desert, these are like woods and grasslands, but I think it's that type of thing that's going on. Now, because I rolled a miss, this next roll has to be one of my dark emotions, which sorrow. She just waxes between hope and sorrow constantly. She gets her map out. So again, switching, trying to figure out why she's not gaining on this quest, getting faster. She gets her map out. She's still using naturalist because she's still finding her way through the wilderness. And now she's really sad. So I have a 7. I think I'm going to try to bleed off some of this pressure and roll against a 5 instead. And I fail. Terribly. I should have kept the 7. did not bleed off the pressure. Oh no, I did bleed off the pressure. You always bleed off the pressure, so at least it went down one. But now I have a bad match, which is both dice are 6s. So I get something from the list and another doubt. So here's my doubt. I'm just gonna put that down there. This roll, my motivation went down to 3. Shoot. Let's go ahead and roll it. I think I'd rather, I'm not gonna have her lose control though. That's probably what I'd roll. No, more doubt. More doubt. I think to get 2 points of doubt in one roll, something major has to happen. So in 6 and 6 is very much like impurity. It shows denial and carnality. So physically in the game, I think she comes upon a cliff. I think the forest that she's riding through for the last 2 days and the plains give way to grasslands, scrublands, and then eventually to a cliff. Like a sheer cliff that goes on forever, and she rides and rides and she can't find a way up it. And eventually it frustrates her. She starts screaming and just shouting, and she's cursing her ancestors, and she's cursing the great dark, and she doesn't know what to do. And eventually she just gets off her horse and collapses, and spends a moment to herself. Now I'm not going to have her rest because she still has some motivation left, so this is just a temporarily like fit throwing. It takes her a little bit to calm down from it. She just has to collect herself. She takes a drink of water from her water skin. Anna, her horse, just kind of snorts at her like she's being an idiot, because Anna's a ancient magical machine. And then eventually she's like, yeah, you're right. And she gets back on her horse and rides away. And that doubt, she's hurting already. But she's got to find a way up this cliff. So she's going to use everything she knows about nature and erosion and how things are built to try to get up this cliff. No, she has a map. So she'll go back to using that to try to see if it's on the map, or see if there's any indication of it wasn't on the map before. That's why she's so doubtful. So see if there's any indication of why it's here and if there's a way to get around it. On a bad match, I have to use a dark emotion. So I'm going to go ahead and use my sorrow because she's still sad. I reduce my motivation to 2. I go ahead and roll. Well, at least it's a weak hit. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my control of 7, up to 7. I still got to take something down here. I'm not gonna take a loss of control even if I roll it, but I don't really care what the other ones are. It's a 1. I lose a boon. Yes, my map's gonna go away. Bye map, because that's what I was using. I think she finds a way around the cliff. And she gets up it, and I think the wind is starting to pick up. And she gets to the top of the map to check which direction to go after she gets off the cliff. And the wind blows it down the cliff, like far away. And now I have a choice, right? I can keep going, or I can backtrack and try to get my map. I think I will try to chase the map. I have a horse. I could probably use Defender for that, because that's more of like a horse riding type of thing and a fighting type of thing. So I could use Defender for that. She's still sad though, right? No weak hit. Lowest die. Oh no, she's hopeful. So she gets up there. She knows, yeah, she's gonna chase it. 3, 2. It's a 7 again. Lots of 7s in this game. Looks like. All right, weak hit. I'm gonna go ahead and say I gain my boon back. I catch my map. There we go. But I have to roll on here. 4, but I lose control. I don't want to lose control. That's what would make sense though, right? I get lost again. I get further away from my goal. That makes sense. Alright, I'll lose control. But I'm also down to 1 motivation, so I think she will camp at the bottom of the cliffs once she runs down her map really fast on Anna and gets it. So when you camp, you go back up to your motivation, or when you rest, and then pressure on your goal you're working on goes up by 1. So I haven't really made that much progress, right? Since last time I camped. I might just have to live with that 2 motivation, or that 2 pressure, because I can't seem to shake it. I try to get rid of it, and it just put me on this downward spiral. But at least I got my map back, you know. So the next day, she gets up, and she starts back up the cliff around the little path that she managed to find to get to the top, making sure her map is in its pocket. So I'm going to use the horse instead of the map this time. And then naturalist, and then let's see, that was a light die low, so I'm gonna use hope again. Oh man, what are all these weak hits I got going on? Definitely gonna take this control because that's what I want to do. I want to get it. Let's go ahead and roll that. Pressure. Alright, so maybe when she's riding on the ridge, something like, maybe the people are following her. Maybe the person that was way back in that town with the binoculars has been following her this whole time, and there's this pressure that's building, and the pressure that's building is people following her, but she doesn't know it yet. She hasn't seen it, because I'm not doing anything to try to get rid of the pressure, so I'm just moving forward really steady. Yeah, that sounds about it. So when she disappears on the tops of the cliffs and towards this mountainy region that she's heading to, she doesn't notice the people coming behind her. She just gets excited that she's moving closer to her goal. So with a weak hit, though, the lowest die determines the emotion. Yeah, she's having this like hopeful sorrow swings, which makes sense. I mean, everything she knows is, yeah. And it was hard getting back up the hill again. You know, it's not sorrow like, you know, at this point it's just sad. It's like a melancholy sadness. It's not, she's not weeping. It's just kind of like, oh, yeah. I mean, I could choose to make her angry, but that's not mechanically important at the moment. It could be even a mild, like, sorrow, anger, like, you know. But anyways, continue on. Oh, it's going to be a 7 again. She pulls out her map, naturalist, sorrow, 7, and she gets a strong hit. Whew, I love it. I love strong hits. I'm going to take my 8. So she just makes good way. And her mood gets back to being hopeful again, you know. She seems to, when she struggles, she seems to really, she gets sad. She doesn't get angry or fearful. She just gets sad. It's kind of like, woe is me. And when things go her way, she gets hopeful. She doesn't really get happy. She just gets hopeful. Maybe she's always in this kind of melancholy. Like, sometimes she's like, I'm stuck here, and sometimes she's hopeful that things might get better. She has some traveling tools. I kind of figured those were like tents and stuff like that. So I'm not really using those yet. I'm just alternating between what is here, and I'm narrating it to keep it in that space, right? So if she was like a fighter, I may narrate these people catching up with her and fighting her. And then they could even give her control by like having an accurate map, that type of thing. But she's not. So I'm keeping her back and forth between map and horse, finding her way, running fast, finding her way, running fast. And that's how we're doing it. I already subtracted that motivation, so we're going to roll it again. Yep, another strong hit. She's got a 9. Yep, she rides fast. She's up in the hills now. She's in the mountains. She's in a, maybe she's like in a, like the not in the mountains, but like the foothills, some really deep foothills, maybe like the Black Hills of the Dakotas, that type of environment. If you've ever been there, there's like deep hills with lots of trees and rocks. So she has to get out her map now and wayfind a little bit more. Again, it was the low die was a strong hit, so it's the light emotion no matter what. So because she's got hope on her side. And another strong hit, and that's a 10. So when you hit your control of 10, it's automatic that it resolves no matter what pressure is on it. So she has 3 pressure, so that reduces it to 7. And then we go down here to this chart, and we resolve it just like another roll, except the confidence is 7 for it and not what you would normally roll, which seems to be 7 all the time anyway. So hey, it all works. So a weak hit. You achieve your goal, but something slips away. Gain 1 doubt and regain half your motivation. Well, I was at 2 because of the last roll. Point of pressure is added to another goal. Alright, got that. And I think I'm going to split this out. Find the ancient house of thaumaturgy. I kind of did this all as a... I got kind of carried away in that traveling, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3. Yeah, it's not... All these little boxes aren't moving. 3 control. Anyways, I think I really just enjoyed her running away from her house and enjoying those rolls and feeling her out emotionally. And so I wrapped that without finding what she is in that goal. So because this is a solo game, I'm just going to split it out. So she finds an ancient house of the thaumaturges, but she still hasn't found out what she is. And that might actually be the weak hit, right? It may be why I divided it out. Now I get another doubt. I'm up to 4, so that's getting pretty doubtful. And I add the pressure to the returning home goal. Take the pressure off of this one. Resolved. And then I decide what the house looks like, right? So what do the ancient... I think this one's just kind of like a castle. A castle in the hills, on the tallest hill around. But what makes her doubt is that when she sees it, it's a ruin. And not like a cool, majestic ruin, but like nearly flattened to the ground ruin. Like it was somebody tried to wipe it from the face of the earth. And she only knows that that's what it is because she sees like an ancient rune stone marking the gateway that probably used to be a road leading up to the hill where the castle once stood. And she just stands there in doubt, looking up at it. She found her goal, but something slipped away. And that's an easy resolution. That slipped away from her. And we're going to leave her there just standing, staring up at this until next time. Thanks for listening.